You need to give Chris the thumbs up.
Chris, Mr. Wheeler, ready? All right. Oops. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We will call the February 5th, 2026 Planning Commission hearing to order. My name is Dante Philpott. I am the chair, and we thank you guys for coming out this evening. We don't have a whole lot on the agenda, so we will definitely keep time in perspective. We don't want to hold you here all night unless you want to be here, which is fine. But we will move through the agenda, and we will move to the first item, which is a call to order, which we have done that. We will move to item number 2. We'll move through the roll call. So when you hear your name, Planning Commissioner, please acknowledge your presence. So we will start with Commissioner Cheryl Davis, Commissioner Jeanette Hardy,
Here.
Commissioner Robin Meyer,
Here.
Commissioner Andres Meyer. She is
Miller.
not here, but accounted for. I am Commissioner Dante Philpott, and I am here. Commissioner Carl Valenzuela.
Here.
All right, and Commissioner Venice Walker is not here, which means that we do have a quorum, so thank you guys. So item number 3 has approval of the meeting minutes. I know that there has been conversation amongst this group as well as staff with regards to the minutes as we review them. The conversation has been because there were several edits that needed to be made, that we didn't feel it was prudent to approve the minutes as of yet until all edits have been made, and the Planning Commission as a whole has had the opportunity to review those minutes for any additional edits or changes that need to be made. I don't want to speak for anybody else, but I think the general consensus is that we want to defer approving the January minutes until we've had the opportunity to review all edits. I will leave it open for any discussion from any planning commissioner that has thoughts or feels differently.
Just agree that the edits that were made were not just grammatical or things like that, as we discussed via email messages. So I think it would be best for us to defer that item. So I'd like to move that we defer that item until our March meeting.
Okay. Any other comments? If not, then we will take the motion to defer approving the meeting minutes from Commissioner Valenzuela. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, we have a second from Commissioner Jeanette Hardy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right, the ayes have it, so we will defer approving the minutes. So from there, we will move to item number 4, and before we do that, what I do want to make sure that we do, and we want to make sure that we are in the habit of doing this and making sure that we, what's the word that I'm looking for? That we make sure that the rules of decorum and code of conduct is expressed. We want to make sure that these hearings are conducted in a professional manner, and we want to make sure that the applicants as well as community members that are here to either just to hear or participate, you have the opportunity to have the best experience and hear as much information as you possibly can. And we want to make sure that you walk away learning more from this Planning Commission hearing than what you did when you walked in. So I kind of want to go through our rules of decorum to make sure again everyone is aware and that everyone can abide by those rules of decorum. So, excuse me. To start with, each case will be called in the order it's presented on the published agenda, unless any edits are made. When the case is called, we ask that the applicant please stand and raise your hand to show that you are in attendance. Next, we will call to see if there's anyone in support of or opposed to that particular case. We kindly ask that anyone that's in support of or opposed to the case to please stand and raise your hand so that you could be counted for the record as well. The applicant will present their case first. If any are present, those who are in support of the case will be called to speak first, and those that are opposed, if any, will speak second. Each side, both supportive and opposition to, each side will be allowed 10 minutes to plead their case or raise their concerns. There will be no rebuttal process, so we ask that you please direct all of your comments to the Planning Commission within your 10-minute period. Additionally, if more than one person wishes to speak on any given case, we ask that you coordinate with each other about the points that you're going to talk about. Since each side only gets 10 minutes, you may not want to cover the same information more than once, or you might want to. It's your choice. But after both sides has exhausted their 10-minute presentation period, the Planning Commission will discuss the case before them. From the discussion, as a Planning Commission, we may request one or more of the speakers to come back to the podium for additional information. So after that, the Planning Commission will make a recommendation, and the key word is recommendation, to the mayor and council, who will render a final decision. The last bit of housekeeping, we do ask that you turn your cell phones either off or place them on silent. Additionally, we ask that, given the small size of the meeting room, that those in attendance refrain from any unnecessary conversations so that staff and the Planning Commission can focus on the comments being made during the hearing. So with that, we have our code of conduct, our rules of decorum. So with that, Mr. Wheeler, I will turn it over to you for item number 4 on the agenda, which is REZ 2025-006.
Good evening.
Good evening.
First item on the agenda for this evening is RZ zoning case 25-006. Applicant is David Pierce. I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Is
Yes.
David Pearson. Applicant is requesting to rezone R20/OSC from R to RA for the development of 94 single-family detached homes. Oh, property is located at Old Alabama Road and Cardell Road as well too. As you can see, if people over my shoulder can see, this is the star of the zoning map. Again, the subject property is zone R20. This is a future land use map of the subject property as a low density residential character. And then it's just an aerial photo of the subject property, as the property has frontage along Cardell Road and Old Alabama Road as well.
Mr. Wheeler, can I
Yes.
interject real quick? Can you go back to the future land use map?
Yes, sir.
So is the entire property, because we know it crosses over Cardell Lane into two pieces?
Yes, sir. So again, the white is the low density residential. So these property right here, and here has the low density residential character area.
That's what I wanted to be sure of, that it wasn't one of those situations where one piece is LDR and another piece is R20
sir.
or something.
No, I apologize. I don't know where the other stars went, but again, that is low density residential.
Okay, thank you.
This is the proposed site plan. Previously, if you attended our city not city council meetings, but our planning commission meetings, this is a revised site plan the applicant has provided to us. This is their third iteration of their site plan, as they start off with 101 homes, went back, then got it down to 95, now went back, and now they're down to 94 homes. Did want to make a note that, again, the lots, all the surrounding lots besides the inner lots have a lot width of 50 feet. The lots inside this loop right here has a lot width of 29 feet. So I want to make it clear. Also, the minimum heated floor area is going to go from 1,700 to 1,600 square feet. I'm sorry, 1,600 square feet to 1,700. Sorry, I apologize. I want to make sure I got that correct. Yes, sir. 1,700 square feet. I apologize. It went from 1,600 to 1,700 square feet. Minimum lot size is 6,200 in square feet. That's the lot size itself. Clear? Okay. All right. Sure. These are the revised elevations the applicant submitted as well. I apologize. These were not included in your staff report that was submitted to you this afternoon. I totally forgot about it. It's lost in those email shuffles, but these are the revised elevations the applicant has provided for your consideration. So to kind of get rid of that townhome look, but to more of the single family look. So this is the criteria which we're using to make a determination by. Again, staff use this when anytime we have a rezoning application before you this evening. With this criteria, there are 6 criteria which you would use to identify if this recommendation should be approval, denial of their application. Staff has already taken the liberty of reviewing this, and staff is at the opinion of denial of this application. Staff believes that even though the proposal zoning is a single-family use, however, staff believe that the use is too dense for the subject property, as well as there are issues related to the Cardale development. I mean, the homes along Cardale Road. So therefore, staff does recommend denial of this application. However, if the Planning Commission chooses to approve it, we do wish you approve it with these 3 conditions: the Cobb County stormwater comments and recommendations, and all stream buffers needed to be placed in a conservation easement, and possibly the elimination of the lots along Cardale Road. The Cobb County Department of Transportation comments and recommendations, and letter agreeable stipulations from Mr. Kevin Moore, dated February 4th, 2026.
Okay.
And the applicant is here this evening.
Okay. So applicant, can you step to the podium?
Just easier to use yours. That's why I love it. Yeah, that's great. Good evening, Mr. Chair
Good evening.
and Commissioners. I'm Kevin Moore. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, David Pearson Communities, in this rezoning application, and I won't simply repeat what Chris and Mr. Wheeler presented to you. I'll try to hit right into why we're here in front of you and why we believe on behalf of the applicant that this is an application and a proposed development that deserves your support for a recommendation of approval. First, I just want to point out a couple of things on the aerial maps. I think it's important for your consideration. That is, when you turn and look, you have Maxim Road and Old Alabama, and then Cardale Road, which was pointed out. But you have Maxim Road. So this is at the far western point of the city of Mableton, which also coincides with the far southwestern point of Cobb County. So once you get to Maxim Road, it's now a different jurisdiction. That's no longer Cobb County, it becomes Douglas County when you cross Maxim Road. And when you go south on Maxim Road, in fact, this property and the county line comes right to that point. The reason I'm pointing that out is because when we look, and Mr. Wheeler pointed it out, when you looked at the future land use map, when you look at this map, from the perspective of your staff, we're looking at it from the city's jurisdiction, from Old Alabama, looking towards the end of the county and the end of the city limits. The issue, though, is that that's not where development stops. There's development there that we believe must also be taken into consideration. You can look at it from this way, and certainly the proposals potential impacts on existing neighborhoods, but there's also development, and very intense development, that's also right there at the intersection of Maxim and Old Alabama Road. At that intersection, which is a fully signalized intersection, is a very large convenience store with bright lights, and further as you go south on Maxim Road, as you're approaching Thornton Road, there is a tremendous amount of intense commercial activity. So this is really at the point between tremendous, heavy, intense commercial activity where this property is, and then on the other side, it becomes the city of Mableton, and then you have the neighborhood that you see here. But yet this property is still shown as low-density residential on the future land use plan. In other words, there's no transition from what's actually there in Douglas County on Maxim Road at this location, which is heavy, intense commercial, and then the neighborhoods, except for this property. That's what's between the neighborhoods and that heavy, intense commercial. And my point with bringing that up is that actually this property, from our perspective, when we hope for your consideration, should be transitional. It shouldn't simply repeat the existing neighborhoods that are there, because it needs to be land use should be transitioned from that heavy commercial and intense commercial to the actual low-density residential areas that have already been developed. Which is why we have presented a site plan for you for a total now of 94 homes, which would be more in line with medium-density residential than low-density residential, creating transition, not just an abrupt break from intense commercial to low-density residential. And we have presented a site plan for you that we've held a couple of times or tabled a couple of times as we've worked through some comments and we've worked through some changes to this plan from what was initially submitted. A couple of things I want to point out about this specific plan and what we're actually proposing. Number one, this plan does involve some fairly significant improvements to the road at Old Alabama. You can see the markings in a kind of a fuzzy version there, but you can see the markings on Old Alabama. So what we would be doing for our proposal, our main entrance here, which aligns with Shady Grove across the street, we would have that intersection and it would be improved. We would have a deceleration lane as well as a left turn lane installed coming from what is the top of your site plan here. So we'd be installing a left-hand turn lane into this development as well as a deceleration lane. As part of that, we will also be installing a left-hand turn lane into Shady Grove, which doesn't exist today. And so that would create a much safer access point for those existing residents and certainly a safe access point for our proposed residents. Additionally, we have a section of the property here that's adjacent to Maxim Road where we do have some homes. And that would likewise carry with it a deceleration lane for safety as well and traffic movement there. The Department of Transportation comments also had comments for us as it relates to the intersection of Cardell and Old Alabama so that we can create a safe sight distance situation at that intersection, and those improvements likewise would be made. I also want to point out that the community is proposed to have a full amenity. That's shown in this area here. So full amenity with a community gathering, cabana, as well as swimming pool. These homes, as you saw in the elevations that were proposed, we do have some differing lot sizes, like Mr. Wheeler pointed out. And I really want to touch on, I think the main issue that has kept us from being able to receive full support, or at least a positive recommendation from your staff has been density. And I want to just take a moment to try to explain our side of that and how we believe it actually fits into what we think and understand to be some of the goals for the city as well. This region, the Atlanta Regional Commission, recently concluded a survey and a study of residents across our region and specifically countywide and so forth. And the number one concern that was expressed in that survey was a lack of affordable or attainable housing. That was the number one concern. Of all the concerns we can have as a community, not just Mableton, but the Atlanta metropolitan area, that was the number one concern. And that's been a concern that we've now seen repeated over and over, and it's continued to bubbles up. And it's not just affordable housing or attainable housing for those who necessarily do not have housing. There's different levels of that. There's some people who really, really need a place to live. They're living in hotels or motels on a week-to-week basis, and that's certainly one component of it. But there's also a component that's missing, and that is a place where somebody that wants to live here and live in the city of Mableton, and live in this community, that wants to come and buy a house that doesn't cost $700,000-800,000. Trying to find a house where you can buy it for $400,000 is not easy. It's extremely difficult. There is very, very few of those, and we don't have those. We've kind of have missed that, or it has become missing. And that's also a level of affordable and attainable housing that we would like to try to fill. And the only way to be able to do that in these circumstances is there needs to be density. I would propose for your consideration that we should start maybe to look at things maybe a little bit differently. And in certain areas where density seems to be appropriate, like transitioning from a heavy, intense commercial intersection to other single-family neighborhoods, a little more density is really appropriate and perhaps reasonable, given that we have to be able to provide, and we have to provide places for people to live and to be able to buy a home, and to buy that home, to have that opportunity that is just not there. And why is density related to that? Typically, we don't talk a lot of economics in a zoning hearing, but I think it's important because of what's been put in front of us. Affordable and attainable means we got to discuss some level of economics with it. What we did 20 years ago in building neighborhoods and subdivisions cost a fraction of what it costs today. Best example of that is stormwater management. 20 years ago, maybe you had to deal with some type of detention pond, and that was about it. Further back than that, you didn't even do detention ponds. These neighborhoods that are built today, that have been existing, they don't even have those. Today, we not only have to build detention ponds, we have to build water quality ponds, and we have to have runoff reduction. That's an exponential change in cost on just one single development item. How does that impact it? Why am I talking about that in terms of density? Because the only way to develop affordable, attainable homes with the types of costs it takes today to develop and to build is we got to look at more density in certain areas. I'm not saying that needs to be widespread, nor am I suggesting to you that this should be 8 units an acre. But at 4.4 units per acre, we think that's a reasonable way for a development and a single-family detached community to be built where that level of price point can be achieved. Because once you continue to reduce that down, to look at it like we used to, that, hey, well, these are 2 and 3 units per acre next to it, it should be 2 or 3 units per acre. That's a way to look at it, but that's also a way to simply drive up the prices, which is counterintuitive and contrary to the goals of saying we need to have housing, and we need to have affordable, attainable housing, and this is the way we have to do that.
All right,
We'd ask that you take this
Go
proposal.
ahead. I'll let you finish.
Yep, that's why I was finishing up. Yep, thank you. And we ask that you take this proposal and the thoughts that I perhaps have given you and respectfully request your recommendation of approval. Be happy to answer questions as well, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. So as a matter of process, we want to quickly poll. Do we have anyone in the room that is in support of this application? If you are, raise your hand. You don't, just raise your hand for now. Going once, twice, okay. Do we have anyone in the room that is in opposition to this application? Raise your hand. Okay, so that's 4 people. Okay, so as stated earlier, you will have 10 minutes. Since no one outside of the applicant, since no one is here in support of, then we will automatically jump to opposition. Again, those 10 minutes, it is shared amongst you. You don't get 10 minutes apiece. It's 10 minutes total. So however you guys want to split it, that's totally up to you, but we ask that you step to the podium, you state your name, and you have 10 minutes.
Yes, my name's Steve Young. I'm with the Mableton Improvement Coalition, and we would like to oppose this application, principally for the reasons stipulated by staff, but I'd like to draw your attention to several of those features specifically. What you can't see on this map is the three-dimensional aspect of this property. This property is actually on a hill, and it's a very steep hill. If you've ever driven on Old Alabama towards Maximum Road, you know what I'm talking about. You're coming off the crest of a hill and coming down, and you do not have the opportunity to react to a lot of the any activities coming down on that slope. And if you put this many houses in the area, you will have accidents because there is no way to react appropriately. It is too close to Maxim Road to start sticking traffic lights on some of these roads to slow down the traffic. That's not going to happen. So the only way you could mitigate that is to lower the density of the housing in the area, and no proposal provided so far has adequately lowered that density to a point that it's safe. The other aspect I'd like to point out is the fact that this area is prone to frequent flooding, and building up this area with a lot of impervious surface is only going to exacerbate that condition. Without adequate mitigation, you're going to have flooding in that area. And again, high density is going to aggravate the situation. Lower density will mitigate it. So under the circumstances, I think the Planning Commission should oppose this plan, and should the applicant come back with something significantly lower density, we might be in a position to support it. We're not against high density residential development. We agree with the points Mr. Moore brought up, that more affordable housing is desirable in the Mableton area. However, it should be done coordinated with safety and security and the aesthetics of the area. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's what, 7 minutes, 23 seconds left? Okay. Phil, step to the podium.
My name's Robin Ford. I won't go over the points that gentleman made because he made those very well, other than to say my husband and I have lived just off of Old Alabama Road, just up the road from this for over 40 years. Prior to that, I lived for 7 years on Cardale Road, so we are very well aware of the challenges that the traffic there create. Also, until recently, 3 times a day going to and from work in Austell, I went through those intersections. And I can tell you that traffic coming off of Cardale Road is dangerous. I see people pulling out in front of people. You see people who don't even stop. Many times I've had to slam on my brakes. I've witnessed many accidents, not only in Cardale, but the traffic coming off of Maxim. And y'all know that traffic is coming off of Thornton Road, and there is a lot of it. Witnessed accidents there, witnessed a lot of near misses there. And it's just simply adding this many more homes, that many more cars, if you figure maybe 2 cars per household in an area like that, it's already tricky getting out of some of those spaces. I just think would create a real danger to the community. It's already dangerous, but will make it even more so. And so we are hoping that the Planning Commission will accept the recommendation of your staff and deny this, and we also hope that the City Council will do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, 5 minutes, 59 seconds left. There were 4. Okay, we had 2. There you go. Don't be shy.
My name is Doyle Holbrook. I've been a resident down off of South Gordon, going on 50 years now. We're fortunate enough back when we were built in the 60s and 70s that I particularly got right on an acre lot, which is nice. It's older houses, but we're not packed in. All the subdivision was built with half-acre or acre lots. So over the years, I'm like Robin, I've spent my whole life here in Mableton. In the area where you come off of Cardale down to here, if you go down there at this time of day, 4:30 to 6 o'clock, there is nothing to be, I'd say, 20 to 30 cars waiting to get into Old Alabama Road. At the same time, you got the traffic coming down, this from Old Alabama into Cardale. If I go that in the afternoons, for some reason, we're going to Wallace Barbecue to eat. In afternoons, we'll go down South Gordon up to the intersection and come down that way. And then the traffic is backed up to Cardale there. So you'll wait at least maybe 2 lights to come out that way. One of the things I did notice, Mr. Moore mentioned, they have eliminated houses on Cardale. If you're a resident or somebody that travels that a lot, and I do once or maybe twice a day, if there's one street that needed sidewalks, you got so many people walking from the trailer parks going to the bus stops. You have a bus area below Cardale, and you have another. I think we've already had one gentleman hit and maybe fatally killed. There is nowhere for these people to walk. What is found out tonight, apparently they're not going to have a curb cut on Old Alabama. If they had, Cardale, if they had, then I would definitely in favor of going ahead and having DOT or have the developer put in sidewalks up through there. I'm not necessarily a sidewalk person. They're talking about $1 million for a mile. But if you go down through there, this is probably one of the busiest CCT stop buses in the area we got for coming down to Alabama and Cardale, and its traffic is bad enough. But if you go down there, especially this time of night, you'll see somebody walking in the dark. That's a safety issue. The houses, if you was in, Miss Ford was right, if you just say two cars or 2 home houses Mr. Morris, we're down to 92, so you're talking 190. There is no more 2-car families And you go in my subdivision with the children driving and the extra people living, you're probably closer to 4 cars per family now. The idea that mama and the day when we were leaving Beaver, when mother stayed at home and the children, them days are over with. So you got most all mothers are working. The children at 16 or over got cars, or they got family members living with them. It is in my subdivision. I mean, there is no 2-car family. So you can take these cars or these houses and probably multiply them by 3 of the 4. So you will increase the traffic very, very badly. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm definitely not opposed to it if you drop it. The density of the amount. I mean, there's something's going to be built there. We know that. You're not going to sit there forever. But get it down reasonable, and I'd love to go to 4 houses to an acre. That's buildable, because a lot of this land is not buildable. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. What's that, 2 minutes, 34 seconds? There was a 4th person. We counted 4. I'm going to give them the opportunity to speak their piece. No? Okay. I saw 4 hands, so I was like, okay, we had 3. All right. So we will leave it open for a few more seconds if there's anyone else that wants to speak in opposition.
This is where he's supposed to say what she said.
Oh.
I didn't want to ask you to go to the lecture to say that.
All right. So if no one else is stepping forward, then we will close the opposition. And in fairness, I will give it one more shot for anyone that wants to speak in support of.
I think the side used all the 10 minutes.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that part's closed.
Okay. Well, perfect. So we will close the public comment section. So now we'll come back to the planning commissioners. I know there's questions. So we will open it up for discussion from the planning commissioners, and it's open for anyone, whoever wants to start.
Mr. Moore could step back up. One of the folks that spoke, I know I've seen sidewalks indicated on the plan, so I wanted to ask if you could please clarify where there will and won't be sidewalks on this site plan.
Certainly. I'll start with where he was actually speaking of on Cauldell. One of the staff recommendations or the stormwaters was potentially not having any lots on Cauldell. That was their recommendation. We are proposing some lots that would be out on Cauldell, and as a result, we would have sidewalk on Cauldell at that location. We would have sidewalks on Old Alabama for the length of our frontage on Old Alabama, as well as sidewalks also on the other side where we have development coming in there. And it's most likely sidewalks all the way to Maxim, so because that's part of our property as well, based on the Cobb Department of Transportation recommendations and their standards. So that's as well as sidewalk internal to the development. But I think the question's aimed at what sidewalks are we going to be putting out there. So that would be included, yes.
So, if I could just clarify, so you're proposing to have sidewalk on all of your public frontage. So it's continuous along Cardell from where your proposed lots
Yes,
on Cardell are all the way down to Old Alabama.
The only issue would be, as you can see with where there's apparently a stream that comes up to Cardell at that location, that may have to, we would want to put them in all the way so it's consistent, not just all of a sudden have a gap, as long as it can physically be put in at that location. That's the only segment that just, you know me, I like to be transparent. That's the only segment where it's questionable just because of the physical condition out there today with whether we'd be permitted to do that.
Okay.
If permittable, yes.
Permitted by DOT.
DOT and the rules with Cobb County Stormwater and so forth as far as disturbance, yes.
Okay.
I have a question. Okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you for taking note, because I do like the new elevation
Yes.
and reduction in density. I do think it is still too dense, though. Maybe not the 2 houses per acre, but maybe not the 4.5 per acre either.
Okay.
I know you had some parking. I'm not seeing it now. Can you point out all the additional parking areas for me, please?
Yes, there are, just to give you the number, and then I'll point out the areas for you.
Okay.
So we've provided for an additional 50 guest parking spaces, and these are spaces that would be outside of a driveway, so designated parking areas. They're primarily here, there's some here, an area there, an area on the top of your screen.
Okay.
There's an area of parking adjacent to the amenity, and parking at the end of this cul-de-sac over here. Some
Where
guest
you
parking
add an
spaces.
additional mailbox,
Yes,
right? Okay,
that's right. For that side, that's correct.
okay. Just checking, because I live in a high-density area. When you're that close together, it's just really nowhere to park, especially
Right.
if you have like guests or
Right.
something.
And the idea is to try to distribute them throughout, so that it's not just in one place. For that reason,
That would be a great idea. Okay. So 50, huh?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So while we're on the subject of the elevations, are those the elevations for all of the lots?
When we had elevations that were submitted initially that were for the smaller lots, and then when we took in comments and we then made bigger lots. So when we submitted the additional elevations that Mr. Wheeler showed that he uploaded, they were also included still the smaller elevations for the smaller lots. So those are the elevations for all of the lots that you kind of see that are red, and then the other elevations are in the blue interior.
So
They were supposed to be together, is how I submitted them. I just don't think it got put
So-
up correctly.
So I just want to make sure I understand.
Sure.
The new elevations that have more of a single family home look to it.
Correct.
Those are going to be for which one, the red or the blue label lots?
The red.
Red.
The red, okay. And so the blue label lots, those are going to be the original
That's
elevations that were submitted.
That's correct.
Okay. That's what I wanted to
That's how
clarify.
we submitted them.
Okay.
That's right. And the breakdown of that's about 60-30. 60 of the ones you like, and 30 of the ones that were smaller.
Okay.
And the, how many square feet are the new elevations?
Those elevations are going to be closer to 2,000 square feet and up.
Okay. And so on the 20-foot, 29-foot wide lots,
Yes.
how wide is the footprint of the home, and how far apart are the homes?
So for those lots, they're 5 feet apart
Okay.
with 24-foot wide homes.
I'm sorry. Did you say that the housing itself is 5 feet from the other house?
On the interior lots, yes.
Okay.
So I do have a question for you.
Yes.
So when we look at the site plan, and forgive me if I'm a little off here because it's fuzzy.
Sure.
But I think it's lots. I think it's what 85 through 94,
Yes.
and it's right there on Cardell. So that is sitting. If I remember correctly, is that sitting on a stream buffer or a floodplain or both?
No, it's sitting, those lots extend into the stream buffer, but the housing, the house footprints of where you place the houses and all, and construction and any, and structure is all outside of not only the stream buffer, but also the impervious setback, which is an additional 25 feet. So you're allowed to put lots that go into a stream buffer unless it's a conservation subdivision, but that is permitted under the rules.
Okay.
But those do have lots that would extend back you know, within that area. But the houses are all out of the stream buffer and the impervious setback area.
And so those lots are labeled green. We want to say label. Why are those green? Because I see red and blue, but right there, yeah, those are labeled green.
Right. And so
What is
those
that?
are,
What does that signify?
I think those are trying to see if I see where I don't know why he has those green.
Okay.
That was the engineer that did that.
Okay.
I was just pointing out the colors for easy reference.
Oh no, that's
for
fine.
y'all, but
When you made reference to red and blue,
Right.
I saw green. So my question is, well, why is that green?
he didn't have a legend, so I don't know why he
Okay.
put those green. But
And I think one of the concerns that was raised as well, since this community is, let's just say that it's split into two parts, the amenity is over. It's over there. So, is it? Well, I think a concern that was raised was potentially having a crosswalk to go from we just call it the lower half over to the main portion of the community where the
Correct.
amenities are. I don't know. I didn't see anything that signified that. I don't know if that rests on the shoulders of DOT or what have you, but I think from a safety concern, as people have raised issues and concerns about the amount of traffic coming through and people being hit by cars, to at least have a crosswalk of some sort to signal for people to potentially slow down, because you have people that are crossing the street. And I think there is a mailbox that you put down there, but it's more so for the amenities up top, where everybody's not just going to necessarily drive over there. Some people are just going to decide to walk over there. It's their neighborhood. Like, well, I'm just going to walk to the pool, or I'm going to walk to the cabana, or whatever it is. So I don't know if that's been considered, if it's been researched. I'm just asking.
yes, we are absolutely agreeable to fund, construct, and install a protected crosswalk, which is really what you want, the protected aspect of it. Crosswalk at this location at Cardell and Old Alabama, if permitted by DOT. They get funny about crosswalks in certain locations unless there's stop signs. But in this instance, they said they would continue to look at it, and especially since we were offering to fund that as an improvement.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you give me, I guess, because we keep talking about affordable housing.
Mhm.
The price points for the houses in red as opposed to the original floor plans in blue?
Right. So, and this is general price points and what they would anticipate. So you have the interior homes, which would be smaller as a price point. We would anticipate those to be in the high 300s.
What is the high 300s?
I consider the high 300s anywhere from $375 to $399. That's what I can. Since you're asking, that's my range. I can mid is 320. That's how I break it down. So that's what I would consider to be high 300s, and then once you start getting to the red and greens, since we've now see that's green, but the red and greens would be then 400s and up, probably 400 to 450. Depends on some of the selections and things like that. But that's what they would anticipate.
I'm sorry, and that's, base, because, you get those options, and then that's going to probably push it up from there, right?
It can, yes. And that's why I'm kind of giving a range
Okay.
of anticipated sales prices, right?
I'd like to go back to the crosswalk and the traffic questions. So at the intersection of Cardell and Old Alabama right now, there are stop signs. Can you tell me where the stop signs are? Is it a four-way stop or not? Okay.
It's not a four-way stop, but Cardell has a stop sign.
Okay.
And we'll have stop signs on this side, obviously for this one. So it may qualify for DOT to be able to allow us to do that crosswalk.
The crosswalk, but there's not any contemplation of a four-way stop or a traffic light?
I know there would not be contemplation for a traffic light for DOT there because how close that intersection is with Maxim. As far as doing a four-way stop, they could. They might, but I don't know that they would do that.
Okay, all right.
They have not indicated one way or the other.
And it's to my understanding that this would be an HOA covenant community?
It's absolutely an HOA mandatory. Mandatory HOA and covenant community. That's correct.
Okay. Would one of the things that on top of affordable housing, or I should say one of the things that contributes to affordable housing is the fact that you have institutional investors that come in and snatch up homes. Would you guys be amenable to including a rental cap to limit that? Because there are a lot of communities that, well, either one, when they're being built, or even afterwards, they will edit or amend their covenants to institute a rental cap. So in this instance, it could be done on the front end to prevent, institutional investors from coming in and buying up 50% of the homes or whatnot. Typically, what I've seen is, depending on the number of homes, 10 to maybe 15%, just depending on the number. So for this one, it's 95 homes, right? 95. So
94.
That's 10 homes.
Right.
If there's a 10% cap, or if it's 15%, you're talking about 15, 16 homes. Is that something that you guys would be amenable to making sure goes into the covenants when they're written?
At this point, we would strongly consider that request. And I'm not able to commit to that. I don't want to go into the
Gotcha.
equity and investment reasons why. This is fully intended to be for sale homes. But we would strongly consider that. If that's a part of a recommendation, then we would strongly consider that here.
Okay.
We certainly would have a covenant that would prohibit short-term rentals.
Okay. Thank you. And I think you mentioned previously, I'm trying to zoom in on here because it is really grainy. The homes on the, I'm going to call it the bottom side down here. Thank you, because I can't see it. So lot 69 through 84, on that particular section, I think there was mention about backfilling
Yes.
to try to prevent some of the flooding issues, or at least mitigate some of the flooding issues that have been experienced in this area. Can you discuss that?
Yes. So there was some comments that had been received initially from Cobb County Stormwater Division, who does the review of plans. From a stormwater perspective. So we provided back to the city and to Cobb Stormwater from our project engineer full explanation of how that's being handled from a stormwater perspective. So you are allowed to do some development within a floodplain, but you have to replace that floodplain. You can't just reduce the floodplain. You have to then create it. So yes, there is an aspect of a portion of the development on this side which would require that type of development tool that would be used and which once you do that and replace the floodplain, then you're not making stormwater worse, especially under the requirements that we have now that you actually have to have runoff reduction from current levels.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore, I do have another question. You have it stated in your stipulations and labeled on the plans as private roads throughout the subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
However, our understanding is that the subdivision would not be gated. Correct. Can you elaborate on what the reasoning is behind that, and more of how technically it works when the streets are accessible by the public but not public streets?
Sure. So, and it's going to be a longer explanation, but Ms. Myers heard this before. It's going to be a longer explanation you won't, but I think it's something important, especially for the city to understand. So first, yes, we've identified these as private streets, but that's due to Cobb DOT. The streets are still built to the public standards, meaning the construction of them and the width and so forth and so on are all exactly like a public street would be built. Cobb DOT has a standard now that they will not accept. They do not want to accept as public streets where you have driveways that are closer than 50 feet apart. So any townhome community, any community that's proposed that's going to be constructed and built that's going to have less smaller lots, the Cobb DOT says we don't want those to be public, and we want those to be private, and that's what's driving making these private streets or proposing them to be private streets is because of that. Now, ultimately, it's the decision of the jurisdiction whether that is public or private, but there's a difficult interplay right now. But that's why we've identified them as private streets. Certainly, we don't want to. This is not a community we see as a gated community, but we see it as private streets. Distinction means simply that the homeowners association is required to maintain those streets, which was why we've also included in our letter how that would occur, where the developer has to fund a separate account for future street maintenance. So the homeowners association is not starting from zero to try to create future maintenance funds. But we would be perfectly pleased if it was directed that the city of Mableton approved this proposal, but with public streets. But as designed, that would be fine with us. We're not trying to drive anything. We're just trying to play as best we can by what's in front of us in terms of those standards.
All right. Do we have any other questions from any other planning commissioners? Oh, go ahead.
Yes. Can you compare a cabana to a clubhouse?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. So a cabana simply is not fully enclosed on all four sides, but the cabana still has restrooms and still has, I'll call it, food preparation type tables or places where you can put things out, a bar type area that's usable. It's just open air on at least one of the ends that's not fully covered and enclosed.
And why would you propose that rather than a clubhouse?
Clubhouses don't get used that much, and people like to be outdoors, and so I've seen that often, a lot, and that is the use of cabanas in subdivisions from no matter the price point of the subdivision or community. For that reason, that they just feel like we're building clubhouses that cost twice as much, they're not used very much, and people want to sit outside, just like a lot of people like covered porches instead of patios. That's what they tell me.
Okay. Alrighty.
But it still has bathrooms and kind of kitchenette facilities and that type of thing.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, if I could just finish my
Sure, go
answer
ahead.
to Ms. Myers' question.
Go ahead.
But if the difference between approval and a recommendation of a denial is a clubhouse versus a cabana, we would do that.
I think I guessed that.
Okay, but I'd like to give you an answer.
So with that, any other questions?
Thank you for your questions.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Any other questions?
I'd like to open discussion by saying that I certainly appreciate the efforts that have been taken by the applicant. I think you alluded to this at the beginning. We know that this site plan has been revised more than once, and there have been several suggestions that have been made by both the public at a community meeting and staff that have been addressed in these plans. So I certainly appreciate that.
Ditto. So at this time, we can entertain a motion. If there's no further discussion or any other questions, then we can entertain a motion for approval or denial. No? Okay. This is a tough one because it's honestly it's a matter of trying to balance everything out. One of the biggest sticking points for me is the density, and I definitely understand from the applicant standpoint that trying to make a transition. I understand the need for affordable housing or attainable housing. But we definitely don't want to do it at the expense of the surrounding community. We want to make sure that safety, traffic concerns, all those things are taken into account. When we look at the current density, it's what, 4.4, roughly 4.4, 4.5, and I'm playing around with the numbers to try to figure out like, hey, if we reduce the density from 4.4 and we get it down to 4 or 3.5, that's a matter of going from 95 homes to like, 87 homes or 95 homes to 76 homes, which, if we look at what's the lot numbers again, Commissioner Valenzuela, right there with the 69, is it? No, right there on Cardell. Yeah. 85 through. So that's what, 10? 9 or 10 homes. So that just taking out those 9 or 10 homes because it's right there on a stream buffer, that changes the density right there from 95 to 85 homes, and that's going down to roughly about 3.9 to maybe 4. And I definitely do appreciate all the changes that have been taken into account, have been made. I think I would put forth a motion to deny the application, just taking into account the density, because it's putting a lot there. So I would make the motion to recommend denial of the application, largely in part due to density. And would we have a second?
I would second the denial based on density as well. Not only those 9 homes, but the smaller ones in the middle, 5 feet apart. I mean, heck, I'm 5'2". Okay, so I wouldn't fit in between the houses. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to second that based on that.
Okay, so we have a second by Commissioner Davis. And I'm sorry, just for record, I would say that Commissioner Philpott made the motion to deny, second by Commissioner Davis. So all in favor say.
Can we have some discussion?
I'm sorry, I apologize. We'll open it for discussion.
I think Carl got there first.
Go ahead, Commissioner Valenzuela.
No, I want us to seriously consider what the end result of what we're recommending would be.
Okay.
We are concerned that there is too much density. I think Mr. Moore, the applicant, made a strong case that there's a need for a transition between Thornton Road and the rest of the subdivisions.
Correct.
But what would be the goal of denying this application? I worry that we are looking at a willing developer who's looking to make this project work, and how do we attempt to work with that applicant and the concerned citizens in this room to get a project that will work? Is there anything we can do at this moment besides recommending denial? And I'm not saying I have a specific answer at the moment, but I'm just trying to make sure we discuss that as a group.
Okay. That's
Because
fair.
there seems to be a finality to that recommendation. Obviously, the city council has the final say, but is there another option, is what I'm asking.
And I would suggest that perhaps there is, and that we could consider a deferral and
Okay.
some instruction to the applicant
Okay.
for what we might like to see happen with this proposal that's before us now. I think that, I understand the argument about this being on the edge of the low-density residential and the nearby commercial, the commercial development. I guess my opinion of that commercial development is not that it's heavy commercial. I think I think Maxim Road through there is exceptionally unattractive. But it's not, the commercial development is things like convenience stores and very small, outdated, obsolete retail. It's an area that is ripe for redevelopment. Behind that relatively light commercial development, in my opinion, is a vast amount of residential development. Older residential development, yes, trailer parks, a campground that probably doesn't really have campers in it. So I think this is a part of Mableton and a part of Douglas County whose best times are ahead of it. And so while I think there's some argument for not necessarily sticking strictly to R20, I don't think there's an argument to go all the way to RA6. I think I hear the call for affordable housing. I spent the latter part of my career in affordable housing. To me, the difference between 375 to 400 and 400 to 550 is not much. Really, really not much. I think that the fragility of the site, the vast amount of floodplain, and the history of flooding in this area mean it really can't be this, it should not be this intensely developed. I read through the stormwater comments. I have to confess, I did not fully understand them all. At one point, I thought I was reading that the lowest occupied part of the house had to be at least 18 inches above the base flood elevation. Another place, I thought it said 3 feet. But this area was heavily impacted by our 500-year flood. I think it was in 2006. And those houses would have been underwater, even if they were 3 feet above base flood elevation. They would have been flooded. And I think we can expect that we're going to have another 500-year flood in less than 400 and however many years that is. We're seeing crazy weather these days, and I think you need only look around the country and to see that. I'm particularly concerned about those lots on Cardell.
The green ones?
The green ones?
Okay.
Yes. I do understand that technically, yes, the lots can go into the buffer, the stream buffer. But for those houses, they're going to have what looks to me like 40% of their lot be encumbered by either the state stream buffer of 25 feet, the county stream buffer of 50 feet, or the county's prohibition against impervious surfaces for 75 feet. An average homeowner buys their house thinking that they bought all the land, and it's their land and they can do with it what they want. So the first thing I would expect is, rather than the little 6-foot patio, they're going to pour a bigger patio. And then, well, maybe we'll put the trampoline down in the stream buffer. Maybe we'll need to cut that tree so the kids don't whack their heads on it. And I understand that the HOA covenants can cover all of this, but we're setting these neighbors up to try to police each other's backyards, which is not a situation I'd want to be in as a homeowner. So much as I don't like the plan we have. And much as I do like the plan that's in place for this property, the R20 OSC, I do think there ought to be something in between the two. And I agree with my colleague from District 5 that 5 feet apart is
Too close.
is too close. And I'm not as I believe someone said, I think it was you, Mr. Philpott, I'm not opposed to this density for the sake of being opposed to density. I think it's appropriate in some places. There's a very attractive development in Smyrna where the houses are 5 feet apart, but the architecture is completely different. The landscaping is top notch. They have rear entry garages. It looks like a little urban street. And this is just not going to have that opportunity. It's going to be tiny little houses in the middle of slightly larger other houses. And I just think the distinction is not appropriate. The houses don't look enough alike, and the spacing is going to label them as different. So I'm afraid I can't vote yes for your motion, but I'm hoping that maybe a deferral could be a possibility.
Okay. That's fair. So for density's sake, again, I was playing around with the numbers. We're at 4.5 roughly. Taking out 10 homes, I think there's an opportunity for the interior, the blue colored lots, to potentially do something there. And I'm just thinking about like, hey, what can we give the applicant to say, okay, let's go back and look at this. The green ones there, like I said, just removing 10 homes, that changes the density. It drops it down to like 3.94. Potentially editing the interior blue could do something a little bit different to improve the density. So as a matter of process, council, I did make the motion to deny. Can we raise another motion to defer? Because we never voted on the motion to deny. We have to vote on the motion to deny?
Yeah, 'cause you have a
Motion and a second? Okay.
not even discussing, so you have to call a closed discussion and for a vote
Okay.
on that motion.
That's fine.
If I may just add one more point to the discussion.
Okay.
I want to correct Ms. Meyer. The houses that she was referring to, development in Smyrna, they're 36 inches apart. There are 3 feet between those houses that were built at Belmont Hills.
I know which ones you're talking about.
And to that point, the developer, builder, whoever you want to refer to, bought a second parcel because they were selling as quickly as they were.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to make sure we're not taking our own personal feelings into account. I would not buy a house because it's 3 feet from a neighbor, but there are plenty of other people that will. And if it allows them to make the houses a little bit cheaper, to the applicant's point earlier of affordability, there's a good reason to consider that distance between the houses. So let's make sure we're not just carte blanche saying 5 feet is too close or 3 feet is too close. There are townhomes where you can knock on your neighbor's wall. So there's in between, there's different things that fit different people's needs. Along those lines, the houses that back up to the buffer, or the lots that back up to the buffer. I back up to a wooded buffer that backs up to a cemetery. No one's ever going to build a house behind me. I bought that lot. I picked that lot for that reason. So this may be an opportunity for somebody who's informed. Granted, as Ms. Meyer admitted or commented, you're wanting them to be fully informed of what they're purchasing. But it may be an opportunity for somebody who doesn't want to have to worry about somebody building a house behind them. So there's different ways to look at those situations that are sometimes can be problematic, but sometimes can be an opportunity for a homeowner who wants what that particular lot offers.
Thank you.
But then let's not forget about the traffic concerns that density causes. We have to keep that in mind too. I'm sorry. We have to keep in mind the traffic that, that can result from all that density if we build that, if that's built.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other comments or discussion?
I would just say that if I were going, you were talking about density, units per acre. You seem to be landing in the high threes. I think I would be looking for something around 3. And I realize that probably eliminates the pool and the cabana. But I think I'd at least like to see what that looks like.
Okay.
I also want to say one thing too. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep talking, but I agree with Ms. Myers in regards to the commercial around that area. It is not the greatest, but bringing in more rooftops and people into that area will stimulate better commercial. So we're not against it. Like I said, we want the housing, and we like the new elevations. It's just a little problematic in some areas, and hopefully that we can come to a happy medium on this.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, so what we will do as a matter of process, since I raised the motion to deny and it was already seconded, we will take the vote. So just for clarification, if you vote aye, you are voting to deny to recommend denial. If you vote nay, you are voting not to recommend denial. So with that being said, I raised the motion to deny. It was seconded already. All in favor say aye. All opposed say nay.
Nay.
The nays have it. The recommendation to deny has been taken down. So now we can take another recommendation if it's of the will of the body to defer for additional edits and comments. Then we can take that motion. So I'll leave it open for that motion to be raised.
Well, I will make a motion that we defer.
Okay, so we have a motion to defer by Commissioner Hardy. Do we have a second on that motion?
I will second the motion to defer.
All right, we have a second from Commissioner Valenzuela. All in favor of deferring, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. So REZ 2025-006 will be deferred to a later date. Thank you again for your time. We look forward to continuing to work with you. So with that, we will move to item 5A, and thank you guys for sticking around. REZ 2025-009. Mr. Wheeler?
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh.
Last item on the agenda is RZ 25-011. Applicant is Alliance Industrial
Hold on,
Partners.
Mr. Wheeler, you have 11 on there, but we have 9 on our agenda.
Yeah, it should be 11. I
Okay,
apologize.
sorry.
Yeah. So Alliance Industrial Partners LLC, representing this evening will be Mr. Bailey. Applicant is located at Oak Ridge Commerce Way. They're seeking to rezone from mobile home park to rezone to light industrial for the development of a 300,000 square foot warehouse and distribution center. The star represents the subject property, as again the star is the star shows where the subject property will be developed. The brown color represents mobile home park mobile home park zoning category. The light industrial is the purple, and gold is the single family RA6 residential development zoning category. The flume map, again, this is the light gray is the industrial compatibility, and then brown is the mobile home park located to the north of the subject property. Again, this is just an aerial map of the subject property. It is abutting the county line or the city of Mableton line. Located to the west of it is Douglas County. Access to the subject property would be along this parcel right here, which is Oak Ridge Commerce Way. The applicant subject property is located within an established industrial subdivision area. The only residential homes is located to the north and further east of the subject property. This is the proposed concept plan, which the applicant is using to show what the development possibly will look like. Again, it is a warehouse distribution center. Again, 300,000 square foot. There's a 50-foot undisturbed buffer, or I'm saying not undisturbed buffer, but 50-foot landscape buffer to the north to try to minimize any negative impact the applicant may have on the mobile home park located to the north. The proposed detention pond is located to the southern portion of the subject property. Again, as they will have landscaping all around it. Again, as you indicated, these are the type of trees which they will be part of their landscaping. This is the proposed elevation which the applicant intends on making the development look like. And this is just, again, just some CAD drawings or some architectural drawings to kind of give a clear picture of what the applicant's the development will look like. As you can see, the rear loading in the back, and then the front, an entrance into the front. With all our criteria, these are 6 conditions which you'll be using to make your determination by. As always, staff has taken the opportunity to provide that within our staff report. Staff did take the liberty of provide its opinion. Staff is recommending approval with 14 conditions for this application. I will read all the way through them, but I will slide through them so they can see through the record. And the applicant is here as well today.
Okay, thank you. So we'll kind of reverse it. So if you are here in support of this application, can you please raise your hand? And that can include the applicant, that's fine. Anyone here in opposition to this application, please raise your hand. One person, okay? All right. So what we will do is we will have the applicant come forth, and the applicant, you can use all 10 minutes if you like. And then we'll start on Mr. Wheeler's cue. You step to the podium, sir.
I'll start whenever they start talking.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna try to do this without getting a crook in my neck.
It's all right. It's quite all right.
Oh, that's no problem. Oh, I can kind of see it right here.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir. No problem. So we'll take a 5-minute intermission for a technical. All right. We are back in session from our 5-minute recess. Mr. Wheeler, is everything queued up for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. On you, sir.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Henry Bailey, counsel for the applicant. I'm at 665 Denali Drive, Mableton, Georgia, right down the street here. And so just to reiterate Mr. Wheeler's comments and his report presentation, this is a request to rezone the property located there on Oak Ridge from mobile home park to light industrial. Okay, all right. So summary of the request. Again, we're seeking to rezone this property from mobile home park to light industrial to accommodate development of roughly 29.15 acres of a vacant site into a light industrial warehouse distribution center. The proposed building that we're seeking to develop is roughly 300,000 square feet. Access will be located along Oak Ridge Commerce Way, with significant buffering maintained, with additional evergreen buffering added to ameliorate impacts on the adjacent residential, specifically to the north. And so as a part of this process, going into it, we wanted to be extremely thorough. So we went ahead and conducted a traffic impact study, and that traffic impact study identified that there's no appreciable impact on surrounding road infrastructure or the intersections, with no changes needed to be, improvements needing to be made to mitigate impacts from the increased traffic as a result of the development. We also did a line of sight study, which is very important considering the residential to the north. We wanted to be able to understand exactly what was going to be visible and where it was going to be visible, such that we can make sure that where we added the additional evergreens or the additional landscaping, that it was effective and helped to visually block, to the extent possible, the development from the surrounding neighborhood. And so here's a zoning map that you'll see that was included in Mr. Wheeler's presentation. The property is located adjacent to and nearly surrounded by all other light industrial and industrial uses, with the exception of the property located immediately north, which is a mobile home development. And the thing that's important about this is the rezoning request that we're making is consistent with the future land use map designation of industrial compatible. And again, this is a site plan, conceptual site plan of what we propose to develop. Just to reiterate, access, as you can see here in this little access drive here, goes out to Oak Ridge Commerce Way, with the 300,000 square foot building sitting there in the middle, and extensive buffering. And most of this stuff is existing vegetation now that we will add to throughout the development process, with the rear loading located on the opposite side of the residential to help further block any noise or light pollution into the residential neighborhood. And it's a rendering of what the building will look like once developed. More elevations to show sort of the architectural design of the building. And just more the same. And then lastly, I want to talk to you about neighborhood outreach and support. So as a part of this process, we think it's very important to engage the community to make sure we understand exactly where there are concerns. We had a meeting on February 2nd, just this week. It was supposed to be the week prior, but the weather that you all mentioned earlier kind of told us we couldn't do that. So we had that meeting this past Monday, where we had this presentation says 6, but we had 5 attendees there to come and talk about the project, ask questions about the project. And as I understand it, there were no comments in opposition and no negative comments about the application. We also reached out to the Austell Community Task Force, and the applicant met with that team on at least 2 occasions. And then yesterday we received a letter or recommendation of support from the Mableton Improvement Coalition as well. And with that, I'll answer any questions you might have and ask that you all make a recommendation of approval in alignment with what staff's recommendation reads.
Thank you very much. So was it 6 minutes left, Mr. Wheeler? So we'll hold our questions till later. There was 1 person in opposition, correct? Okay. So Mr. Wheeler, can you reset the 10 and we'll have the person? Oh, well, it was only 1 person that raised a hand in support of. So good. Thank you for that. As a matter of course, was there anyone else that wanted to speak in support of? Because we only had one, which is fine. You just want to make sure you have the opportunity. Going once, twice, okay? So now, opposition, you'll have 10 minutes all to yourself, or
Yes,
you can share it.
My name is Steve Young. I'm with the Mableton Improvement Coalition. We're actually not opposed, but since, we have stipulations, we have to present in the opposition. We actually agree with the staff recommendations and approval, and we're gratified that the applicant is amenable to these requests. We think that the residential areas to the north need to be adequately buffered from the sight, sound, and activity of the warehouse. And we just ask that the committee take those recommendations and use them to maximize the protection of the neighborhood from these activities. And really that's it. We think this is in fact an appropriate use for this land. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's 9 minutes or 9 minutes and 3 seconds left. Anyone else wants to speak in opposition? You have 9 minutes, and I'll give you 5, 4, never mind. So with that, if no one else wants to step forward, we will close public comment section. We can now engage in discussion, and we can call the applicant back for any questions. And it's open to anyone that wants to start.
I have a question for staff. Mr. Wheeler, in the staff recommendations, there is a mention of hours of construction. But what I want to clarify is, does the zoning classification that the applicant is requesting have a limit on hours of operation?
Not off the top of my head, I do not believe, but I'll have to double check just to make sure. But I don't believe there is. We can look it up really quickly here.
Yeah, if you could just confirm, that would be great.
I do have a question for the applicant, or the representative, excuse me. I cannot remember what page this was on, but I remember reading, I think in the initial report that you guys obtained, I think it was 9 easement agreements. I guess the question that I had was, you have 9, but were there, like, how many, I guess how many properties were abutting, I guess, the area where you were seeking those easement agreements? Because I'm trying to understand, if you have 9, were there 20 lots per se, and you have 9, and then you just got the 9 and was like, oh, okay, we're good, or were there 10 and you got 9? So that's what I'm trying to understand.
You may need to bring up one of the members of the applicant team to speak to that.
Sure, thank you.
Just introduce yourself.
When you say easements, we didn't have any easements on this site.
Okay, because I could have sworn I read in there that it was like 9 easement agreements.
No,
Okay.
sir. Sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
Then that's my error.
No, it's fine.
All right, thank you.
I have a question. First of all, I want to thank you for the line of sight study.
Yes, ma'am.
There have been times in the past prior to my serving on the Planning Commission when this is exactly the information I wanted to know about a zoning application, and I didn't know to call it a line of sight study. So now I'm fully educated on the topic. So my question for you is, the evergreen screening trees that you're going to plant that we see on these diagrams, at what stage of their development are they being represented? Is this how big they are when you plant them, or 2 years later, or 5 years later?
So if I understand your question correctly, you want to know what size of these trees are going to be when we put them in the ground, correct?
I want to know if they're going to be the size I see them on the picture.
Okay, gotcha. Do we know the answer to that? 5 years?
That would be,
5
okay.
years.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. And this is the line of sight study.
I love it.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I mean, I'm not sure if we've come up with an answer, but my concern is being adjacent to this mobile home park. What hours of operations would you anticipate a facility of this type having? Would it be a 24-hour-a-day operation?
I think what you would find with this facility is that it would operate much like any other industrial use. I don't know that there would be necessarily 24 hours, but I don't think it would align with your typical 9 to 5 hour of operation. But I can't speak to nor commit to a specific hours of operation without the actual tenant saying, what their hours of operation would be.
And there's, just out of curiosity, you don't have a pending tenant or lease agreement yet? You just...
No, conversations are ongoing, but most of these tenants will not commit to anything without the zoning being in place.
Gotcha.
But what you can be assured of is that the types of tenants that you might see on a site like this are the non-noxious types of industrial uses, the distribution, the end of the road, sort of putting parts and pieces together to manufacture something, not your heavy industrial type uses that are not even permitted in the zoning district.
That was going to be my other question.
Understood.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this building suitable for conversion to a data center?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you would be willing to accept a condition on a recommendation for approval that prohibited the data center?
Well, I think the conditions as stated right now prohibit us from doing anything other than what the site plan is proposing. So we wouldn't be able to do a data center regardless.
Well, I think the site plan could be interpreted as the building footprint.
Oh, you mean like just the physical portion of it, not the use? I don't think we have a problem of adding a condition about data centers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just wanted to save administrative work if I could. Yeah.
And as I understand your conceptual site plan, the activity on the north side of the building, which is adjacent to the residential uses, is business parking, individual vehicle
Yes, ma'am.
parking. It's not the truck parking.
Yes, ma'am. As I'm going back to the site plan now. As you'll see, all of the activity from the loading docks and all of that stuff where the trucks will be is located to the south side of the building, away the farthest point we can get it away from the residential. And even that is heavily buffered from the adjacent uses to the south.
Right. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I found the easements, and it looks like it was utility easements, but I thought I saw names in there, which I did, but that it's not personal.
Okay.
Like a homeowner's having to give you an easement. It looks like utility easements.
Yes, sir.
That were recorded several years ago. So, okay, that's better. Okay. And you did say that the loading, quote unquote, the loading docks would be basically turned away from the residential.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The residential is up here. This is actual vehicular parking for the employees.
Mm-hmm.
And then the actual truck loading activities will be located on the southern side of the building, screened even further from the residences.
Okay.
So residential here, trucking activity and loading activity here.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And thank you for how robust this was. It was a lot to read, for sure. But this is probably one of the most detailed applications I think we've seen since inception. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions from any other planning commissioners? No? Okay. Well, then at this point, I guess we can take a recommendation take a motion for a recommendation, excuse me. I'll leave it open, or I can make it.
I'd like to make a motion for recommendation of approval of REZ 2025-011, including the staff recommendations as listed 1 through 14.
Is it 14 or 15?
It's 14.
14, okay.
14F. I guess there's letters there.
Okay.
With an additional stipulation, staff recommendation, I'm not sure what the term is for one that we create.
No, the stipulation.
Condition that the property not be allowed to be utilized for a data center type use.
Okay. So we have a motion to recommend approval with all staff recommendations with the additional condition for the site to not be used as a data center raised by Commissioner Valenzuela. Do we have a second?
I second.
We have a second from Commissioner Jeanette Hardy. All in favor? Or do we have any discussion before we take the vote? Yes, no? No discussion? Okay. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. So recommendation will be made to City Council, and it'll appear on the calendar. I'm sure they'll let you know what date that will be. But thank you again. We appreciate it. Again, appreciate how thorough you guys were. It answered a lot of questions for us on the front end, and I think it made for a little bit of a smoother application to review and process for you. So thank you.
Thank y'all.
And so we've reached 5A. Commissioner Valenzuela had a question or commentary.
Yes, before we adjourn, I just wanted to confirm, I know it was discussed during our work session, do we need to satisfy the requirement of voting for chair and vice chair to begin the year, or how do we need to handle that?
So I know that part of the discussion was because we are, we're going to be down 2 PCs. The question was, do we wait or do we move forward? I'm of the mindset to move forward because we don't have a concrete timeline as to when the seats will be filled. That could be a week or it could be 6 months. My preference is to go ahead and hold the vote before then because we don't know when that will be. That's my personal opinion.
I agree.
Can I get a little bit of legal consultation here? Do we need to nominate and vote, or can we move to continue with the chair and vice chair that we currently have?
You're going to need to have a vote on it. It wasn't on this.
Well, he's saying it didn't make it on the agenda,
Yeah,
but I should have made that amendment earlier.
I guess what I would do at this point is just have it on your March meeting agenda and discuss it then. But yeah, you'll need to hold the vote. The vote could be for the same people, but you just got to go through the motion and process. So it will be on the agenda for March, and at that point, the board will accept nominees and then take a vote for the various positions.
Okay.
And just for everyone's information, we started this process April-ish of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't reached full year of doing this, serving on the planning commission or holding hearings. But the way we wrote our rules was that each year we should elect a chair and vice chair. So just wanted to make sure we satisfy that. And to Chairman Philpott's comment earlier, for the information of the public, we are losing 2 commissioners that have served since the beginning. 2 of our commissioners have resigned their positions. So if you are interested in serving, reach out to your city council person and see if they're in need of a person to fill those slots. For the moment, there are only 5 of us on the commission, and we are required to have 4 show up to have a quorum. So that puts us at a very, very narrow margin. I suggest that we probably need to look at the calendar and make sure that we all have open dates for the next few months. But if you are willing to serve on this planning commission, please reach out to your city council, man or woman, and offer your interest. Thank you.
You might want to mention the regions, the areas, like it's District 3 and 6 and 3.
Yeah. So City Council District 3, City Council District 6. District 6 is City Councilwoman Deborah Herndon. 3 is
Keisha
Councilwoman Jeff Coate. So if you are here or if you are watching virtually, if you have an interest, please reach out. As you can see, this work has a huge, huge impact on how the city of Mableton will look, smell, feel going forward. it's, I don't want to say it's not glamorous. It is what it is, but it's very, very, very impactful. So if you have an interest, even if you're curious, please reach out. Because as a planning commission, as a body, excuse me, we'd love to have you on, so we can continue to do the work of the city. Any other discussion points before we adjourn?
I have just one, and that is that I'd like to express my gratitude, and I suspect all our gratitude to our two departing commissioners,
Yes.
Ms. Jeanette Hardy and Ms. Venice Walker. Venice is not here this evening, but you two have been with us since the beginning, and we're going to miss you. So
Yes.
we understand
thank you.
that life has its twists and turns, but it's been great to get to know you and figure out how to do this for the first time for this city. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
It was a heavy
It's been an
lift.
honor, yes, and it's been
it's-
an honor.
Yes,
Yeah.
a heavy lift, but thank you.
And just so you guys know, this is a voluntary position, right? We volunteer our time. And so it is, it's bittersweet for me, but my professional, obligations are I just can't serve as much as I would like to and give it the attention that it deserves.
We understand.
And if you see me around the city, please still speak to me.
Oh,
I'm just
I
kidding.
will.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm sure. Wow. Okay. Any other discussion, comments? No? Okay. I move that we adjourn. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Valenzuela. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Consider this meeting adjourned. Thank you.